For those of you who'd like access to this content, follow the link in the description box, visit our Patreon page, and subscribe to the Black Kluge tier. For a mere $5 a month, you get access to the alternate Sunday episodes you've been missing, only available on Patreon, as well as the weekly Tuesday episodes. But wait, there's more. If you subscribe to the Black Kluge tier, you'll also get 2 weeks advance notice to our Thursday sessions. And if you needed any more incentive, when we have bonus episodes, Patreon is the place where you're going to find them. Also, don't forget to check out Teepublic for our great swag. The link is also in the aforementioned description.
No way. Howard, you're not dumb. You went to BU. You're a smart man.
BU.
There's your credentials.
They made all the geniuses into BU. You know that I went to BU, but I went to retard BU? Like I didn't even go to the real BU.
It wasn't even the real college?
Yeah, there's a college at Boston University for idiots. It's to milk parents who can't normally get their kids into the school. You know, I was a real idiot. Oh. And BU has a program called, it's like the Special Olympics. It was called Basic Studies. It doesn't get embarrassing than that. Like when you're trying to pick up a chick at BU and you tell her you're in Basic Studies, you're like, fucking loser.
Yeah.
They head for the hills. You think it was easy to get laid with this face and being in Basic Studies? And Basic Studies, the deal was, even though you're a shit student, you can't even score above 1,000 on your SATs, we're going to let you into BU, let your old man pay the freight, and you got to, for 2 years, take everything you were supposed to take in high school, but you fucked up.
So you're really in high school?
I'm in high school. I was in high school for 2 more years. Believe me, this was no college. I was studying, like, high school chemistry, you know, humanities, which was actually watching movies. And it was like retard school. And then if you passed retard school, they'd let you for the next 2 years get into, you know, like the School of Communications, where I'd study radio. I'd study fucking radio. What's the study of radio? There wasn't one professor that
you
ever
weren't
think about.
making radios.
No, if we made radios, it would have made sense. Study radio. I'm sure my old man was having a conniption. It cost him like $5 grand a year at the time, which was a lot of money for my father.
You wanted to do the Howard Stern Radio Network, which I think is a fantastic idea, but I know it has to be a tremendous undertaking. And what I was thinking...
It's not that tremendous. I can make it happen.
Well,
I'm in the middle of doing it.
With so many people now having these digital dishes and also the big satellite dishes, which we have, why couldn't you get on sort of like a pay...
Because you're missing the point. Radio...
Confused about what we do.
Yeah, radio is primarily listened to in cars. Unless you get a satellite dish on your car.
We're not going on cable radio.
Yeah, we don't want to take our step back. When I was in college, we had cable radio. They would only broadcast it into the dormitories over the phone lines. I'm not looking to take a step back. I'm a broadcaster.
Yeah, but at least that way people that are all over the country, like us who tape the show every day, would have the option.
I don't care. I don't care. I'm not looking to do a paid radio show. That's going to be the saddest day of my career when I'm going to do a paid radio show. I'd rather quit.
So 80 and 100 million a year go into your corporation. You go on Sirius, the satellite radio channel, okay? How are they going to make a profit? I mean, how many people you think are going to go over and what are they, like $50 for that thing, subscription?
Is it my problem if they make a profit?
No.
Is that my worry?
No.
Welcome, everybody, to QF, a podcast about Howard Stern. I'm your host tonight, Sam, and with me is one of my favorites. I'm not going to say favorite because that would be playing favorites. I don't want to do that, but you're definitely one of my favorites. Bob.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm in the house tonight. Thank you for that amazing intro.
Yeah, my diplomatic intro.
Glad to know I'm your not favorite.
Yeah, you are. I love your dry sense of humor. You make me laugh constantly. We were covering the Opie and Anthony Howard saga, and obviously Bob and I were big fans of Opie and Anthony, and at a time Howard Stern, which obviously we saw how they butted heads and how Opie and Anthony took his reputation to the fucking cleaners in our last episode. So we're going to continue on that pattern of audio and showing you guys exactly what happened between the two. I really appreciate all of your great feedback last episode. That was so nice. And I'm glad people who didn't listen to O&A or have the time now get to see a little bit more detail of what we were talking about and kind of get into this.
Yeah, so where we left off before was the first two pretty much like complete trashing double barrel gunshot, point
Do you-
blank to the face, trashing of Howard Stern.
Do you want to know what somebody wrote in the comments? They wrote ether because that's the Nas.
Yeah.
That's the Nas retort to who was it? Jay-Z.
Jay-Z.
Yeah. And the diss track was ether. And I thought that was so clever because I think I said it was kind of if you said it in a rap battle, it was called you bodied that person. Oh, these two bodied the fuck out of Howard.
Oh yeah, they called him a snitch, a bad husband, implied his kid overdosed because he neglected her. Said his movie was some fantasy fugazi, that he bullied people, like that he looked like a fag with his dog.
He acted like a fucking Fed, silencing people behind the scenes, but then complaining with the martyrdom of free speech. Oh, you fuck.
That he was a complainer, that his show wasn't good, that Robin sucks, that his golden years are far behind him.
Yeah, so that was the ether of that saga. Now we're going to get into a little bit more, like Bob and I were talking about this, and once those kind of initial bodies were laid to rest and like all that was kind of, lying in the wake of this huge verbal just abuse that was definitely warranted. Now we kind of get into an area where they're a little bit more comfortable just offhandedly talking about it, but they still bring up really good points.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that Howard ever really responded to any of that.
The only thing he did do was he kept calling them his copies. I know periodically he kept saying, "Oh, my copies," like he would not refer to them by name at some point, but he would say "my copies" a lot. And he did imply that he made up "wow," which was a gimmick on Opie and Anthony called Whip 'Em Out Wednesday, which is where we're going to start this.
Yeah, but I think Howard not responding to any of that really made things worse for him.
Well, it becomes, and I noticed this in news media too, like they will report a false story ad nauseum, and then when it comes out that it's false, nobody prints a retraction. Nobody gets on and says, "I'm sorry, I got that wrong." No, they just, and then you think that your viewership is going to increase and people are going to trust you more? No.
But if what they were saying wasn't correct,
right,
then he would have responded. Him not responding is just saying, yeah, what they said was right.
Well, there's been times in disc jockey, radio wars where Howard, they did say correct things about Howard, and he did respond like a child, like a really idiotic child, but he did respond, and aggressively at that. The difference was, I think he saw the two of them as an actual threat. Like they had a better apparatus around them. They were funnier than his show was at the time when this was all going on. And they were on the upswing where he was kind of holding on to something. When you're like the top person and you're just trying to maintain power, I think like in the art of war sort of situation, like what is the best way I'm going to maintain control and power? And I don't think going after O&A the same way I went after DeBella or any of these other people, I can't do it.
Yeah. And he can't do it because what they said was true.
Yeah, it was true. And they're just better at knocking him.
They're way better. So now they put out those two big rants and he doesn't really respond. So they're kind of, I think, at a point where they're toying with him, bringing up goofy shit that he does that's also true. Yeah. So now we're getting into where they start bringing up how he talks about how that he invents everything. So this is where we're starting.
Let's go to the phones and say hi to John. John, what's up?
Not much. Hey, who started WoW?
Opie and Anthony? Why?
Okay, because all these truck drivers up in New York and Boston and all that, they're all telling me that Stern started it.
Stern started Wow?
That's right, Bob.
Yeah.
You find me one article that says Howard Stern started Whip 'em Out Wednesday.
I
Please.
started Wow.
Please find an article.
And as you pointed out, Anthony has just a caricature impression of Howard that's hilarious. That's where the hoo-hoo and all of that comes from.
I mean, everybody who was upset with Stern, no matter what DJ, I think was correct in being obviously upset with him and voiced it. But they had, because of Anthony's ability to do this impression, it always brought a perfect punch of levity to their rants, where it was like they're going so ham on something, and all of a sudden he would break out the hoo 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 or do an impression or say, "Oh, right, Robin," or whatever he would say, and it would be perfect because it didn't make them sound insane and so emotional. It just made it amazing, perfect across the board.
Little punctuation.
Perfect.
Well, that says that.
Hey,
Howard,
I was getting ready to get rid of XM, and heard a clip of you guys, and that's the whole reason I'm keeping it.
Oh, thank you.
sir.
I appreciate it, John.
But I was about to go over to Sirius, but
No,
you guys have kept me. But hey, if there's one thing, can I ask y'all a favor?
Yeah.
If y'all, I know right now you probably don't want to do it, but if there's some time you guys can go back and tell the story from your view of what happened, you know, the church thing or whatever. I don't know. I heard somebody on the news back when it happened, but I didn't really pay
Told that a million times.
You're kidding, right? That has to be a joke, no?
Absolutely has to be a joke.
But we can't get away from that story.
Even Stern doesn't claim to have started Wow. He would never say that.
He actually came up with one of the most ridiculous things ever. First of all, that's the beauty of the internet. Just Google Whip 'em Out Wednesday, and you'll get articles going all the way back to, I think we started in like 96, 95, probably 95.
Mm-hmm.
Probably about 10 years ago we started this phenomenon that is Whip 'em Out Wednesday. You see the Wow on the back of trucks, and you see the
I said previously how popular Opie and Anthony were, especially in Buffalo, because they broadcasted here for a period of time. You could not drive down the street in Buffalo without seeing that bumper sticker. I mean, it was everywhere. And I said previously, once in a great while, I'll see an old car on the thruway with the Wow sticker, and it'll just bring me so much joy on my commute.
It's been a long time since I've seen that sticker, for sure.
Oh, I did, like, I want to say a month or so ago on the thruway, and I was like, is that a Wow sticker? I'm so thrilled right now.
The Wow stickers and the homemade Wow. And it's something we started in 95, and we basically told the guys to put Wow in their car, and it meant Whip 'em Out Wednesday, and if the girls felt like it, they would flash you, and it works like crazy all the time. Now, when it works great is going to a concert when you're stuck in traffic.
Right.
With all the young fillies.
The beaches, too.
And the
in
beaches.
The summer when you're going down to Robert Moses or something. Oh, forget it. It's such easy access when they pull their little bikini aside.
Oh,
Daytona 500 is coming up soon.
I don't know. If they're talking about the Robert Moses Parkway, that's like a park in Buffalo that's between Lewiston and like Niagara Falls area. Like you're going north. So if you go north from Buffalo, you're going to go on the Robert Moses Parkway. Because I know I had a friend who lived in Lewiston, and they have an art park there. So I'm sure Opie and Anthony did an event there. But they are correct where women just would whip their tits out at these events like it was a nude beach and stick shit up their pussy. I mean, I'd never seen anything like that. I mean, such drunk Tatianas just running around. And
at what events? At their events?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. And it was interesting because it's before the Jersey Shore type of bar star culture, I feel like, really popped off. So it was kind of like a prelim to what was to come when you started getting these bar star sort of cultural reality shows, if you will.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I'm just not in the loop, but they just didn't have that kind of presence out here. Like most of the people that I know that listen to them was because I got them into it. Like when I asked other people, I think I was 18 when I first heard them.
Yeah. No, I heard them earlier than that, but I do remember the culture they brought to their live events was definitely eye-opening. I probably should have been there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I was in their demographic and all my friends were, and none of them had heard of them. But anyways,
yeah.
keep going.
There you go.
You're going to be stuck in some of that traffic. Make sure you got a wow in your car. You'll see. You'll see.
NASCAR.
It'll happen. NASCAR. So what did, so this wow thing's
But to be honest, as a side note, not a lot of, I had one friend that listened to Howard, like not a lot of people out here even listen to him in my age group.
Oh, that's fascinating.
My stepdad did, and my stepbrother, who's probably like 6 years older than me, but like I didn't know too many people that listen to him.
I knew so many people. My whole, like a lot of people in my family did. OJ just died, and my family and I were texting each other like lines from the Robert Higgins farcical call because my parents and my uncles were obsessed with that phone call, like, look at here. And so we were like just doing quotes from that ridiculous Al Michaels, lest you think this was a farcical call, you know, from Peter Jennings. Yeah. He's pretending to hide out in a news van. But anyways, it was so prevalent here. So my family loved the Howard Stern show. They didn't really get into Opie and Anthony though, the way I did.
No, I mean, like I said, like the older people in my family, no, but like people in my age group, I don't think they were huge on them. Like I said, I have one friend, but no one else really.
Yeah, I had people who liked both here. Definitely.
Becomes huge. Absolutely huge. And then Howard, because he has to claim that he invented pretty much breathing.
Has to claim he did everything. You know, it's the law of averages dictates that there's something out there that he didn't invent.
Right.
Something. The telephone, maybe. I don't know. Right? The powered flight. There's got to be something out there he didn't invent.
Ask him if he invented penicillin, and somehow, some way, he'll connect himself.
So I was reading this article as we're doing this. This is from Entertainment Tonight, and this article was written in March 7th of 1997. Okay, and just how Opie and Anthony hit on the hypocrisy of Stern. Listen to this paragraph at this end of this story, this interview of Howard. For now, though, he has other ideas. Quote, I still feel like I haven't gotten my due on radio. I still feel like I want to finish this Howard Stern network concept. I want it to be on in every country, in every city. More payback for the past injustice? Perhaps. But also a way of staying underground in that bunker of a machine gun comedy where he can keep taking aim at big, bad showbiz world he's now undeniably a part of. Quote, it kills me when people say, you know, Rosie's nice or this one's nice. I say, shitheads. Don't you want anybody who speaks out, who's completely off the wall and tests the First Amendment? You get caught up in that Hollywood scene, you get fat and lazy, your sponsors accept you, your bosses accept you, but you're an angry young man. I don't care if you're 80. If you're angry young man inside, you will create great television, great radio, great media. Because being accepted is like being in a cocoon. It's so wonderful. Being in that room at Paramount where they kiss your ring, it's great. And if I ever got caught up in that moment and said, I love this, I'm basking in this is what I crave my whole life, I'm finished. I'll go out and make a Coneheads movie. End of article. Think about that right now.
No, he just told on himself.
He wants it. He wanted the cocoon. That's the best part is you can...
All he wants.
Now, if he didn't get that the cocoon of acceptance in Hollywood and the pink mafia protection of it all, if he didn't start sucking ass and doing the complete opposite of what he pretended he stood for, First Amendment, anti-censorship, in the bunker of machine gun comedy, whatever, he would still be making these points and saying what he was saying. But because he got in that cocoon, his tune changed immediately. He wanted in the cocoon.
The thing is, too, again, why O&A won over the common man was they weren't, when they said that they didn't want to deal with celebrities and shit, they fucking meant it. Like, there would be people that were about to come on the show. They'd be like, why are we having this guy on? Like, no one cares. And remember when Andy Dick was late and they just fucking left and had him interviewed on an after show?
What was the director who was super famous that they
I
waited
remember
for?
that.
Was it Francis Ford Coppola or was it somebody else? It was some
It
movie
was somebody
director.
else. Yeah.
And they waited
left.
40 minutes and they said, fuck it, we're leaving. And their guy got back to them. And the network was so upset. The radio station was so upset. They're like, why are we waiting? We're not getting paid extra to sit here to wait for this person. We don't care. If it was that important for them to push this, then
they really didn't care. And you
No.
started to see that. Like, these guys really aren't about the establishment.
remember when they had Paris Hilton on and she cried and like left within 2 seconds? It was like she didn't want to be asked any questions about any of the things that, of course, the Opie and Anthony audience would want to hear. So she got offended, was very, that's hot. Yeah, I like that. Like very minimal in her answers, probably hungover, my guess. But she went on there and they just basically were like, okay, if you're not going to play ball, then just go.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah.
All right.
To the invention of
penicillin. Penicillin. I had some moldy bread, Robin, because we grew up very poor in Roosevelt. Moldy bread. I had an infection, and I thought I'd just eat the moldy bread, and the infection went away, Robin. So I invented penicillin. Ooh, all mine. Ooh, shut up. Jackass. Invented everything. People just used to stand, Robin. They would stand. And I decided one day I was going to, because I'm a genius, Robin. I decided I was going to put one foot in front of the other. And then everyone copied. Oh, they call it walking now. But that was me. I called it sterning.
His ego is so huge and big. He has no idea how ridiculous he sounds now.
Now, they're correct in all of this, but I will say, in hindsight, in 2024, watching Opie give these free rants on the top of his whatever New York penthouse and have zero hint of irony of his self and how he sounds is quite disturbing, in my opinion. Like, I can't believe how far Opie has fallen and refuses to sort of take some inventory in his own actions and what role he had to play in any of his downfall, and kind of not understand what his talents were to the show. I think if he understood it, everybody would appreciate his role in the show a fuck lot more. But because he also mythologizes his own abilities is why he is where he is.
Yeah, I mean, an NPD argument could be made for him. I'd be surprised if he didn't have it. That term gets thrown around a lot, but there's enough there and kind of everything that's been said about him. Maybe we could do that Greg Shell episode after all this, but
I don't know if it's narcissism. I mean, maybe like shades of it, but it is mixed in with deep insecurity that both Howard and he possess. And I think maybe Howard lands more, in my opinion, towards the narcissistic side. Opie is very insecure. And I don't know, because I saw how he related to different people or situations, or kind of got emotional at different points on the show that I don't think that were real, that I felt genuine about. Like, he got emotional at when Patrice died. He got emotional during some 9/11 thing. He got emotional on different aspects of the show. I remember Jimmy too got cried over when Oprah had what's his face on that film critic, and he couldn't talk anymore, and he started crying. Remember that? He had Roger Ebert on.
No,
and they had to,
I
like,
don't remember that.
oh my God, it was the craziest thing. But I think Opie's less narcissistic than Howard, but probably the same sort of insecure.
I would say if you even put Howard in an even more refined subcategory, it'd be vulnerable, covert, narcissistic personality.
Okay.
Whereas
Versus
Opie, I definitely think he has NPD, and there's definitely a lot to support that. He just doesn't have the as much of an introverted or vulnerable nature as Howard has. But there's definitely enough that's been said. I would even say he's a more straightforward example. Like,
So-
if someone were to really sit down and ask me, like
Well,
a
I am.
textbook, yeah, I mean, it'd have to be more in depth, but I would say Opie's an even, because you have Anthony's accounts of things and Jimmy's accounts
Yes.
of things. So you're able to kind of, a lot of the stuff that we could speculate on with Howard can actually be confirmed by those two guys, because I don't think either of them have anything. While they're quirky and bizarre, there's no personality disorder. With Opie, I actually do think there is one.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of straightforward examples that you could give within his world, for
You
sure.
know what? I think because obviously you're more trained in NPD and you were the foray for us to explore that personality disorder with Howard. I am so used to covering the aspects of NPD when it comes to Howard that sometimes I feel like what you're saying now I'm resonating with it, because I don't necessarily think that his NPD is the same as Opie's, but it is NPD. It's just it's a variation. There's different shades of NPD, which we've learned because I do know that Robin has it, and it's different than Howard's. So I think because we just discuss one thread of it so much at such great length, I sometimes can't recognize it, even if it's staring me in the face, because I'm so used to covering it just this one way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, maybe people can comment if they want us to do an Opie series on that.
Yeah, that would be fascinating. If you want us to do a Patreon on the NPD of the Opie and Anthony show, I'd be all down for that.
Yeah, like I said, it's a little easier because there's more accounts, honest accounts. Like everything with Howard is so hidden.
Well, you're not going to get a show of old employees, except for Stuttering John, who doesn't know that it's NPD, and other disaffected, stern people who barely give an account of the same retelling of every story. With Opie and Anthony, you actually had in real time people commenting on the behavior and giving really clear examples and rundowns, like you said.
He's like, there are crazy people out there that actually believe things.
Yeah.
And you cannot tell them different because they're insane. That's Howard. He's completely insane and believes everything comes from the center of the universe, and that center is Stern.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So we were getting a lot of attention for Whip 'em Out Wednesday. A lot of stories written about it.
And he don't like that.
Actually, a lot of bad stories written about it.
Yeah.
A lot of bad pieces on local TV stations. And then he claims that he did something with a bandana back when he was, in Washington?
I to this day don't know what the hell he was talking about. Some kind of Rube Goldberg machine he had going with a bandana, a car antenna. Was there a day involved? I don't even know if breasts were involved. Tie a bandana on your antenna, Robin, is what I told him. What does that mean? I don't know, but I invented that. What? And then Frisbee dogs were ripping me off because they all had bandanas around their neck. And caught Frisbee. What? I don't care.
Frisbee dogs.
He's the biggest
And
ass.
somehow that got turned into his version of WoW and how he invented it somewhere back in the 50s.
Yeah, whatever.
What a tool.
He really is a tool.
Yeah.
Jimmy, say something.
I'm completely agreeing with you and listening, but I wasn't around when he said that.
No.
Yeah.
right.
He said that he's an idiot.
It's under a porch somewhere, I'm sure. What? What did Stern say?
Okay.
Well, it was a Wednesday, and he whipped it out, so
Careful, Jimmy. Careful, Jimmy.
It is true that Opie would try to get Jimmy involved in it,
Oh,
and
yeah.
Jimmy just would stay out.
And in
Johnny Jersey,
hindsight,
what's up?
I agree with it. Like, I think, he's not getting the same financial paycheck that he's not making the bank you're making. He doesn't know you guys get fired every so often. I need to keep my nose clean.
Yeah. I can't say I fault him, I wouldn't fault him for it.
Hey, man, it's even worse than that. A day after you play something like the Mini-Me, he's playing the Mini-Me soundbite from Surreal Life. He's playing the reporter who falls out of the barrel of grapes.
Well, the thing with the sound clips, that's a little, I would love to act like, yeah, hey, we did it first, and then everyone heard our show and decided they needed the Mini-Me clip. If you're in radio doing this and you see, like, Mini-Me doing what he did on Surreal Life, and you're a radio guy, you're immediately calling your people going, oh, my God, get me that.
You don't think about who played it first. It's not like they made it. They didn't go into a studio and record it, as their own. It's a sound clip.
Yeah, I would love to.
No credit at all.
I would love to jump on and say, yeah, that was ours.
I like that they at least had the humility to admit that sort of thing goes on within radio. The thing that Howard did, I thought, was great, was doing things like during, for example, the OJ trial, having Gilbert Gottfried go into some of the shittiest areas in New York City and start asking Black people if he thought OJ was guilty or innocent in the Dracula Gottfried voice, in Dracula Gottfried makeup. I mean, that's unique and original, If Opie and Anthony started having Jimmy dress up like Dracula and start asking questions about whatever crimes going on the streets of New York City, I'd say, yeah, you're totally copying him. But I think that it's good that they can recognize when things aren't, that he's not copying. It's just something that happens.
Yeah, I think that their level of honesty is really what, again, served to hurt Howard more.
Right, because they were willing to admit when, no, that's not a thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Remember how they would make fun of Mike Francesa all the time?
Yeah.
And they play those clips. And there was one episode where they were like, if this guy just admitted that he fucked up, this would all stop. And what they said was totally correct. It's like, the second that you're just honest, people can't really go at you the same way.
It's the doubling, tripling, quadrupling down for all of these people that are their downfall. And that's a great example. I loved when they would just nonstop harp on him.
It was so
great.
good.
But you know what? I mean, a lot of radio shows are sent the same stuff. It's just how you use it and bring it into your program that makes it a little more unique, I guess.
Yeah, but he's making it sound like he found it. He went out there and grasped it. That's what.
Oh no, that was the most obvious one ever. The Mini-Me clip is the most obvious one ever. Every radio station in America should be playing that if they call themselves a creative radio program. It's so obvious how great that is. But it's the other ones that you find, where you do work a little harder that no one else has,
I got it.
Like this one. I love this one. That one goes on forever.
Of course it does.
No one else is playing that. No one is playing this.
Nothing works here. The medications don't work.
What medication?
I hate this place. I've been here for 7 years.
7 years.
Hello, exactly.
Yeah, no one's playing those clips.
Oh dear! Oh dear!
You will be molested. This is one of my favorites right here, and no one's ever going to play this one. I think this is audio of Mardi Gras when those undesirables were messing with Whitey. We got actual audio of Whitey, Anthony.
We do.
As they were getting harassed down there on Bourbon Street.
I'm scared of you. I'm scared.
I am scared of you, sir, and I'm protecting myself. I am protecting myself. I am scared of you. Please call the police.
That's a great video clip.
Bob, it's like a male Karen.
I was thinking, so this is from 05, and it's like, this is when High Speed's been around for a while, and like video clips are coming out. And it's like everybody all saw the same collection of videos. You know, now it's like every second there's 1,000 fucking viral videos. But like the one that they're talking about, the one with the grapes, I know you saw that back then.
I know, I did. And you know what? A lot of these things, and I was talking to Fillmore about this E-Bombs World. I used to go there every day. That was appointment part of my day. It was to go log on to E-Bombs World and check out the latest video things. And some of them I would watch over and over, like Aisha passing me by. He's like in the Mickey blanket. I mean, it was just so in the cartoons. I just loved E-Bombs World. But you're right that everybody saw the same thing. This was when, you know, things just started collecting, and there wasn't so many where it was oversaturated. It was just, these were the things.
Yeah. My
grapes.
girlfriend at the time thought I was such a trash bag for going and watching those videos every day.
My parents, I could specifically remember them looking at me and my friends in our office in the computer room, and we're just laughing at, you know, Maya he, Maya ha, Maya ha ha, you know? And it's just that fat guy on a couch doing with that expression. It's so stupid in hindsight, but my parents just watching us dopes laugh at that and thinking to themselves, oh God, this generation is going to be so fucked.
Yeah. All right.
What a tool that guy
Is that up on Found Your Music?
Yeah.
It is? That's great.
Guy's videotaping some guy that's walking in. It's a white guy. He's videotaping a black guy walking into a convenience store because he's scared of him. The guy came to return something, I guess, and he was under the impression
he was
trying to rob him
harassing
or
the clerk
yeah.
in some way. And
so the guy grabbed a video camera, and he's videotaping him, and the black guy's like, stop videotaping me. He goes, no, I'm scared of you, sir. I'm scared of you. I'm protecting myself.
Let's say hi to Steve in New York City. Steve, what's up?
Yeah, how's it going, Ope?
Hey, Steve.
You got a guy? What's your name? Just kidding.
Oh, you. Cut it out.
No, I'm a big fan, Norton. Opie, I seem to remember a day when you're on night times at BAB that Howard actually called into your show to compliment you and tell you that you were doing something different out there, and that he was actually singing your praises. Unless, of course, that was actually Anthony calling in to screw with everybody. But I seem to remember that happening. Correct me if I'm wrong.
You never know. Well, there's also an audio clip of Howard praising how funny Anthony was on his program.
Oh, yes.
So.
That's when I was whoring myself out to anybody. Just put me on the radio, please, somebody.
Well, also, Anthony, since you're talking about yourself there.
I will say, at least Opie had the foresight in his nights or afternoons when he was solo. When Anthony came in for that OJ parody song, which was how they met, right? That's how they met. He invited him in to perform it live. So he had at least some sort of, I guess, inkling in the recess of his brain to say, I need a partner, and this person's quick-witted, fast, and we have good chemistry. So he brought him on again for something else, and then that's how it got rolling. But I'm surprised because I don't think Howard, maybe it is similar where it's like Howard knew he needed Robin, Opie knew he needed an Anthony.
No, I think Howard got stuck with Robin.
I mean, he needed her for the angle of the type of humor he was going to go with, because he needed a token to sit by and just approve it all.
See, I didn't even know that's how they started. I didn't even know that.
Oh, Opie and Anthony?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how they started. That's he came in for a parody for I forgot what it was called, this song parody title, but he went in with his brother Anthony because they were in like a band on the side or whatever, and Anthony was
Yeah.
just throwing everything against the wall to make himself, seem really amiable and funny and witty, and it worked.
Your Greaseman is so spot on. It's ridiculous. You must have listened to that guy constantly. I mean, listen, I did too, because I just thought he was just a ridiculous character, and I couldn't stop listening to him when he was on in New York. But
you know what it is?
Your impression is so right on that. I mean, it's.
Thank you, sir. You know what it was about the Greaseman, though? The Greaseman, it was one of those things you had to listen for a long period of time because his stories went on, and you were waiting for him to end, and they didn't.
He would take that lawyer joke we just told and make it into a 20-minute story.
Make it into a 20-minute story. It would go on, and I'm listening, just laughing at his voice.
Yeah,
it would just go on, and then it would end with, "We'll be back with more of the Greaseman Show in a moment."
Yeah, plus you had to add in 10 minutes of waddle doodles and
waddle doodle. And you're like,
I was slinging lead.
Yeah.
All right, guys, thanks a lot.
He would take the dopiest, 3-part joke and turn it into a 20-minute tirade on something.
There I was. Like me doing Anthony's impression.
Yes, Greasemanelli.
Can I do?
I was on the SWAT team in D.C. Been slinging lead. Lots of gunfire in the streets.
What was the other one about his drinks? The
bone dry.
Bone dry.
I need a bone dry martini. Waddle-dee-doodle. What?
I don't know.
Doodle? And I'm sitting there fascinated just looking at the radio.
Anthony has pitch perfect impressions. It's not just of Howard. He does it of other radio hosts and The Sopranos. I mean, every possible character you could think of. I don't know how he does it, but he's really good.
He does these impressions. That's where you think it was a real thing. Remember that always play that clip? Yeah, he's good at capturing the essence of it. It's funny because they always, the thing with them is you felt like you were in on an inside joke. And
yeah.
I was just thinking about when they would make fun of Scott Shannon. And
I forgot about that.
Years later, he wound up calling in. And I think it was when Anthony was off the show, or I can't even remember, but I remember them asking, they're did you know about the Jock Towers and everything? He's like, fuck. He's like, we all knew about every year we knew that shit was going to happen. And it was you felt like you were a part of it,
I know. I loved when they did it to our local radio station, which was the, #1 local FM radio station, Nicholas Pickles and Janet Snyder. It just made my year. I was so thrilled about it. I was like, yes, they're doing
Nicholas
it. I was so happy.
What was it?
His name was Nicholas Pickles and Janet Snyder. Kiss 98.5. It's terrible. Anyway, I love how Anthony would use his impressions in bits in an ironic way where it was they would be talking about whatever in current events. And all of a sudden he would just do an impression of somebody and interject that character into the bit. You could be talking about whatever's going on in the news or some sort of fucking story. He'd just start doing Tony Soprano as Tony Soprano talking about the news story or Corrado or whatever. Yeah. I mean, he was just fucking awesome at that.
He's fast. He was
so fast.
Him and Jimmy were super fast.
The Mel Gibson tapes might be some of my favorite radio ever.
I listen to that every year.
Me too.
Every year, at least at some point, I go through all the Mel Gibson tape, them listening to it.
Okay,
I go through that once a year, every year.
I know I'm marrying the right person is I showed this to Rick, and I almost use this as a litmus test to my personality, but also as if you don't find this funny and genuinely enjoy this, I can't be with you. Yeah. I cannot be with somebody that does not find this enjoyable. And we were crying, laughing. And once in a great while, he'll say to me, if we got nothing to watch and we have, YouTube app up, he'll be like, let's do the Mel Gibson tapes. And I'm like, yes, let's do them.
Once a year. And I'll tell someone, everybody's got their like online constant chats with different groups. I'll tell my group I'm due for that Mel every single year. I don't miss it ever.
I get the same way. That's so funny. All right, let's go.
It was fun to listen to driving around Long Island.
Boy,
He did pretty well in the afternoon. No, he did well in afternoon drive for a while in New York City. He did okay.
He was on K-Rock for a little while, wasn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
Howie was all mad at that. Why are you hiring these people that I can't stand to put on my station?
Howard hated whenever
station?
the company hired anyone else that had some kind of talent.
Tom, why is this man on my station?
That's what it came down to. He hated anyone else that had talent.
Yeah.
Anyone else that anyone would listen to.
So then he would, do everything in his power to make sure that person did not have a.
And it's true because look at what he did with Bubba the Love Sponge. He was absolutely awful to him until he brought him into his orbit. And then all of that stuff, I guess, was shoved under the rug. I mean, he had to have them under his control. And the problem was Opie and Anthony weren't under Howard's control.
But it was funny when Bubba started to go at O&A over that. They kept playing the clip of Howard trashing Bubba,
yeah. That was some great radio.
saying he didn't want to be in an industry with him. They're like, yeah, this is your fucking boss, dude.
Oh, and Bubba was so persistent and so matter of fact, so hyperbolic about it. And it just made him look like the biggest fucking hypocrite in the entire world.
That Bubba guy was such a fucking lame. His whole world, whatever that guy is, I guess it was on later, Brent. He was actually on the show. Was that the guy's
Yes,
name?
Brent. Yeah.
That guy was such a fucking lame. And so was Bubba. That shit was so fucking stupid.
It's weird that they were both sexual deviants in a way. Like him getting a wife and then having Hogan fuck his wife, and then Brent allowing threesomes when he's out of town and having his wife get plowed by somebody, and that's considered okay and acceptable. I mean, the whole thing was just cuck behavior, just prime cuck behavior that I have zero respect for. You could say that, oh, this is the truth and I'm comfortable with it. If you're comfortable with that as a man, you're disgusting, in my opinion. Like, I have no respect for you whatsoever, or anything you have to say.
Just those guys. That whole shit was so fucking lame. At least, like, again, too, with, like, the fringe guys, like Benson with O&A, like, that guy's funny. All like, the fringe Howard stuff wasn't fucking funny at all. The guys
it was very rare.
Well, I'm saying like the radio, like the people that were adjacent that he plugged, like Blake loves Bubba the Love Sponge. That stuff was fucking corny.
It was so corny.
A chance.
Yep.
He tried his best with us, but somehow we squeaked through. Yeah. Somehow we squeaked through. Games he played behind the scenes, yelling and screaming. They wanted to throw us on K-Rock when we first moved to New York, but Howard wouldn't have of it.
Nope.
And this was before we ever had bad blood or anything.
Yeah.
Oof.
And that was the logical move.
We were all ready to go to K-Rock.
Was to have us in afternoons, him in mornings, and then you got a great radio station instead of a radio station.
And then freeze frame this and think about what he bitched about when it came to Ellen fucking with his bag if he couldn't get on American Idol as a judge, right? Like, what a fucking hypocrite. You're literally blocking somebody from your own industry and then claiming at the same time you're all for everybody speaking truth and truth to power and First Amendment, yada, 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 ranting on about Ellen blocking your bag to get this amazing judgeship job at American Idol. What a crock of shit.
Yeah. I mean, more of just again, like, I'm all for if you view someone as competition, you know, I'm for putting yourself in an advantage, but you can't be out there saying no one's competition and everyone's a mini me. Because obviously you don't feel that way because you had them blocked or whatever you did behind the scenes. So you clearly know that you're not the best in the game.
There's a difference between competition, where it's two radio personalities, or in this case, a partnership, and Howard pretending that Robin's a fair partner. But there's a difference between them clashing and competing in a fair space where it's a free market of ideas and insults being thrown, versus this motherfucker has every advantage and is cutting them at their knees behind the scenes. I mean, that's not a competition.
He looks like the guy that he's claiming to fight.
Which
you
is
have all
even
the power
for years. For
years, definitely.
Station that has one good day part.
Stupid Kingston gave us the jackets and everything. We were already over there. We had decided, and we had been accepted by K-Rock.
Dude, we
weren't going to be on at NEW. We were going to be afternoons at K-Rock.
Let's not forget, we had the choice. Yep. We came to New York, and oh my God, it's a stupid story because our stupid agent, super agent Bob Eatman, who's,
gee.
Well, I remember. I mean, we blow ourselves up in Boston with the mayor's prank, right?
Yeah.
Now we have 3 job opportunities. Anthony and I are from New York. I was born in Queens. Where were you born?
Flushing, Queens.
Queens, and then lived most of our lives on Long Island until I started doing radio. So we had a chance to get back on New York radio.
Dream come true.
And our stupid agent thought the best move for us was to move to Atlanta and do mornings.
Yeah.
Oh man.
He didn't quite understand us back then.
Well,
he doesn't understand
no.
programming.
See, Bob Eatman is what I call less of an alpha than Buchwald. So I am guessing that the agent probably knew he could make a New York deal work, but because of the fight Howard was putting up to getting them over to New York, I think probably he just kind of immediately bent the knee to that pressure and was like, okay, we'll just put them in Atlanta. They didn't accept that. But again, you can just see how Bob Eatman operated versus Don Buchwald.
Did they actually go to Atlanta?
No.
Okay. I was going to say I didn't know about that chapter.
No.
Side of what we do.
No.
He's brilliant when it comes to, nickel and diming people to death and getting a good contract for us. But he's got to shut the fuck up as far as the programming of the show goes. Because I was reminded of that because of last week's tirade about he wanted us to do a clean show so one stupid guy in Philly could go, hey, wait, they do a really good clean show. I'll put them on my commercial station. And then we go back to doing regular radio, and then there's immediately a problem.
They freak out.
Right.
You'd rather be honest up
front. The logic in that stupid head of his when it comes to programming a radio.
And where is Howard, by the way, for all of his First Amendment outrage arguments when it comes to censoring other radio DJs who are doing controversial radio, parallel thinking to something that Howard does, analogous to something Howard does? Why wouldn't you be defending your own class of entertainment? Did you ever fucking once hear him say anything to program directors or syndication deals being shut down? Did he ever say this is bullshit to any of this for any of people in his field? No, he didn't.
That's what again makes us all look worse.
Terrible.
Yeah.
The show amazes me.
Yeah.
And I forgot that when we first met him, his big move was, no, guys, you really need to move to Atlanta. Atlanta.
Yeah.
We had two radio stations right here in New York that wanted us. Our families are right down the road.
Both the same company. It was Infinity, K-Rock and WNEW. And we had checked out both. It was either going to the morgue the wax museum that was WNEW, classic rock, classic jocks, or going over to K-Rock, known, the whole country over. Cool station to be at.
Playing
cool music.
Playing the same music we were playing in Boston.
So what the hell? Of course we chose to go to K-Rock. And we made our decision, and we were ready to go.
I mean, although obviously the agent is a fucking simp who is just trying to please whatever in this situation. Could you imagine Opie and Anthony, especially at the time in Atlanta, which was, by the way, the dawn of radio hip hop sort of industry, which was great for Black culture and amazing what sort of entertainment came out of that, whether it be record producers, record companies, recording industries, and their own sort of niche in radio. How would the fuck would Opie and Anthony fit in that?
That's what I'm saying. Like, if that era happened, I would want to know, because especially during this era, like just thinking about Georgia, I just don't see them being like, I don't see them being a fit down there at all, just because you have the South, you have a whole different culture, you have a more conservative culture for sure.
Especially at that time.
Yeah. Definitely at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and that lasted for about a day. And then we got the phone call. No, sorry. You're not wanted here.
Yeah, they told us to choose between the two. So we said, yeah, K-Rock.
Yeah.
And then everyone was celebrating. I remember Kingston, before he became the biggest wimp in the business.
Yeah.
Actually, he got the phone call at dinner and started jumping up and down cheering.
Yeah.
Like he just got the first round draft pick. It was like an NBA draft or something.
It was.
And he was jumping up and down.
I remember the ratings would have been over there with Howard in the morning and us in afternoons.
He was losing his mind, and then all of a sudden 24 hours go by and no one's calling us anymore.
Yeah, what happened?
What happened? And then all of a sudden, they decided to pass on you.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, what happened? Right. Howard found out that we picked his station.
I want them on my station.
And he caused, he threw another hissy fit to Mel.
What?
How do you do?
And so then they threw us on, NEW. We didn't know at the time it was just going to be an awful experience for us.
What an Imus move, according to him, which I don't know how much of that is true or not true. I'm assuming. Yeah, now in hindsight, I question every narrative he's ever fucking spun, and Imus isn't here to tell any of it, so who knows? But this is exactly what happened to him in his narrative.
In his narrative, I don't believe Imus did half the fucking shit he said. I believe Imus was like, who the fuck is this little prick talking about me? Shut this guy the fuck up, which he should have said. Like,
well, Imus, true, at the time, think about it, was an alcoholic cokehead wandering into the station. Who knew what kind of personality you were going to get? But he was a consistent person who showed up for his job and had a popular show. I don't think that I just can't believe listening to this, that Howard would risk his reputation and risk every fucking narrative, including that science fiction movie, as Anthony properly stated, to do shit like this. But he did. He did.
Oh, I know he did. He's total fucking beta.
Ugh.
Baby.
And then, we did great over there.
Yeah. Had a great run until we screwed it up.
But another hissy fit behind the scenes from Howard.
Yep.
So I did want to say, I do remember when Opie and Anthony got suspended for the Condoleezza Rice comments with the homeless person. Howard, I won't say defended, but because he was such a thorn in the George Bush era censorship, or at least pretended to be at the time, and it would look really bad if that administration who was suspending them, pressuring the radio station to suspend them for this sort of thing, considering everything he had done in his career, he did sort of say, like, I'm not for censorship. I'm not for suspending them for this. Like, he did say that. but it wasn't like a full-throated defense. It wasn't like I'm going to go to bat for these people. I'm going to call somebody. I'm going to the kind of things that he would do for what he wanted, rally the troops, supposedly, you know, the way he would do in his own life. He didn't do that for them whatsoever. It was a fucking throwaway.
You ever hear the story when Howard was walking around and he thought he heard a gunshot and he locked his kid out of the car?
Yeah, Fillmore and I talk about that a lot. It's the potty story, and it was a fan.
That's all you need to know about this dude.
It wasn't a gunshot. He heard a fan say, Howard, Howard, and they were in an area that he didn't trust because it had black people in it. And of course, Howard's uncomfortable with minorities, even though he pretends that he's super woke. Yeah, okay. So
I thought he
that's two stories. No, there was no gunshot whatsoever. Somebody just yeah, and he jumped into a limo and locked his kids and everybody else outside of the limo. And the gunshot one was when he was walking to the radio station. And I guess some sort of, I don't know, delusional fan or whatever had a gun or something, and Grillo saved the day. I forgot the machinations of that story, but you're combining them. I just can't believe what a pussy he is. He was never comfortable with minorities. He's always been
locked his kid out of the limo, hid in the limo. What a fucking rat. All right. I don't know what this is.
What a
this
rat.
Says wants O&A to die.
Oh, good.
All right. Here we go.
Awesome. We're really getting under Howard's skin today. Sorry. Oh, really? The ADD's kicking in really bad today.
Opie.
Yeah, someone started to get through to Stern this morning about his XM commercial that we play. And caller on Howard.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so
fill people in on what this is?
You can explain this one because this is good.
Well, if I recall correctly, so Howard hasn't fully transitioned over to satellite, right?
Well, he was playing both companies. He wanted to get what's the best deal. And as if everybody recalls, but if you don't, I'll remind you, XM had more listenership by millions. Sirius XM was the fledgling startup for satellite radio. Essentially, they only had not even close to the same amount of numbers. So Howard was playing both sides before he officially signed with what Opie and Anthony called the Little Doggy Company.
So if I remember correctly, savage motherfuckers, they basically took his voice and spliced together a commercial for XM, right?
Oh, it's better than that because he cut commercials for XM while he was brokering a contract with XM, because he was going to sign to XM, Bob. And so they had him do promos of XM. And when he, I guess, fucked them over for the $500,000 deal or whatever they paid him for that initial contract, and gave them they gave him the world to come over. Okay. They kept the audio of him cutting commercials for XM when he thought he was going to sign to that company. And whoever ran XM, whoever was involved in the production, I don't know, the higher ups, gave it to Opie and Anthony to use.
And they ran them like all the fucking time, right?
And it confused listeners, and it aggravated him to no end. This pissed him off so bad.
This is the beginning of trolling.
This was so great.
Joe mentioned the live read you guys play on him. A call on Howard's show mentioned the live read you guys play of him promoting XM. Howard dumped out of the call, hung up on the caller, and said you guys should die. He seemed upset and was distracted. I sent Steve the clip. Get it.
Here we go. This is how we work now.
We're
Howard.
pests.
One more thing, and I'll let you go.
I was pleased to see that. It wasn't a beautiful ad. I don't know who their copy department is, but it got the job done.
Probably just, rushed in.
Howard, one more thing.
Yes, sir.
I heard, I was listening to the other satellite company. My friend has the XM.
Right.
And, those two doing a commercial.
Who cares? Let them die. Let them die. That's it. We don't care. I bleep that off, and I just let them die. That's all.
The art of like bantering, right? The art of bants. Like you got to come back with something funny. If you just come back with "let them die," like you lost. Like you've lost that exchange. He should have let the thing play out and then taken shots at like who knows their listeners anything.
I equate it to when politicians start comparing everybody to Hitler. It's like, if we're doing that, you're losing. You're losing. If you think the hyperbole of comparing people to Hitler is winning the argument, you've lost. And I just think him saying, cutting out of that call, by the way, so quick.
Dumping out, huh?
Can't handle it, huh, Howard?
Can't take it. Oops.
Yeah, he doesn't care, all right.
Yeah, come on. All comers. Come on. I'll take you on. Oh, dump out of that. Well, I don't even want to acknowledge. Let him die.
I did hear, because we do have a lot of people that are, friendly with us still at the old company.
Uh-huh.
And it's driving Howard nuts that we have a commercial of him doing, an XM read. And, the company's not going to help him at this point. In the old days, they would shut us up and make us stop playing the ad. But they don't care. So we're allowed to keep playing it, and Howard is just fuming. And
this was like the 1 year they got to just fucking pound on this guy with no repercussion.
It makes me so sad that they overpaid him so much that the companies had to merge for financial issues and just the entire, because you're right. And we said this in the previous episode. This was the one unleashed year that is so sacred in my head.
I mean, to give everybody context, like this Supercut is from 1999 to 2014. Like, this is 15 years. But a bulk of what we played to this point is just it's just in basically a year span.
And exactly. And then when they moved over to XM in the building, the treatment, they started getting shit immediately. So this was it.
Losing his mind, but there's nothing he can do about it. And obviously that caller got through to talk about it and see what Howard thought about the whole thing, but Howard decided to dump out and say that we should die and that he doesn't care.
He doesn't want any confusion is what it is. He's, he's a little nervous about the move, and he doesn't want confusion with anybody where he's going to end up. And all that commercial spot does is confuse people. They tell their friends that don't have satellite, oh, yeah, I heard, if somebody's friend, somebody has XM, their friend is a Howard fan, and they go, yeah, Howard's going to satellite? Yeah, I heard on XM. I heard the commercial. Because believe me, that stuff happens. People get confused.
Plus, Opie and Anthony had this really unique deal where they were allowed to broadcast on XM and then do the walkover and do regular radio. So,
yeah, I mean,
so they could broadcast this stuff to people who don't have XM, and these people would, wherever they're doing whatever, driving in their car, and hear Howard Stern hear Howard Stern cutting commercials for XM. You would think he's at XM.
I used to. They were actually a more powerful marketing, because I used to drive and I would listen to Opie and Anthony during this time. And then while I would get to work early, and then I would listen to them over the internet through the regular radio, but then they would convert over to XM. And that's when I really actually wanted to get an XM. because like they had that transition where it's like, I want to keep listening to this. But they were the innovators of all of this. Like they were the first guys to do it. They were the first. Like, Howard cannot say that he was the first guy to come into this world,
right?
The uncensored world.
And not even in the first popular space. XM, like I said, was more popular than Sirius. And I just remember exactly like how you said, I would be listening to the FM station and wanting to get, I want to hear the rest of the show. It just, it was like, and I was excited at the thought that Howard was possibly going to XM, because then I could just have one satellite thing, and he didn't. So I unfortunately made the decision to get all the Sirius hookups, which was such a fucking awful decision. And
yeah, both my stepdad and stepbrother did that, but I didn't do that.
So they buy XM, and that's got Howard livid. Just livid. And the company is livid. Yep. But there's nothing they can do about it. Of course. Radio, this is what's getting them really pissed off this morning.
If you're planning a road trip this weekend, it's time to take XM satellite radio along for the ride. XM gives you 100% commercial-free music. It's the ultimate playlist with channels for album rock, alternative, heavy metal, hip-hop, unsigned bands, blues, jazz. There's an XM channel for everyone in the family, including the biggest names in news, sports, talk, and comedy. All in digital quality sound for less than $10 a month. No wonder it's the most listened to satellite radio service. The XM Roadie from Delphi can turn any radio into an...
Could you imagine having this? This is like having a fucking sound clip of your ex saying how you're hotter than...
It's being signed to what the fuck, West Coast. What was his name? It's being signed to Suge Knight. And what was that record label?
Death Row.
It's being signed to Death Row, but you cut a bunch of commercials for Bad Boy. Like,
no shit.
Could you fucking imagine how much they would put that in the beginning or the middle or drops in every single fucking song if they had Tupac rapping about Bad Boy. I mean, it's unbelievable that this existed. I just think no wonder they kept doing it.
It's the smallest satellite radio ever, so it looks great on your dashboard. Plus, for a limited time, you'll also get a free home kit, so you can connect XM to any home stereo. XM makes a great graduation or Father's Day gift. Check it out. Electronic stores, including Best Buy and Circuit City. Beyond AM, beyond FM, it's XM satellite radio.
Thank you, Howard. And once again from this morning.
Howard, one more thing, and I'll let you go.
I was pleased to see that. It wasn't a beautiful ad. I don't know who their copy department is, but it got the job done.
Probably just, rushed in.
Howard, one more thing.
Yes, sir.
I heard, I was listening to the other satellite company, my friend has, the XM.
Right.
And, those two doing a commercial.
Who cares? Let them die.
He jumped out.
Let them die. That's it. We don't care. I bleep that off and I just let them die. That's all.
You know what? If he was smart,
you don't care. All right.
If he was smart, Bob, he would have said, "Yeah, that company entertained me coming over. I was looking at both companies, and you know what? I decided that this burgeoning satellite company had better technology, had better capability. Make something up, you dope."
That's the art of bantering. That's what I'm saying. When you take it to, I'll fuck your dead daddy or whatever he was saying to Mancow, I was like, dude, you lost this already. Like, you took this to like a not funny, like, yeah, you could have fucking lied. You have to come back with something. Like, you
be a politician. Like, what are you doing? You could have easily said, you know what? I'm so glad they keep playing this because it makes me more, it affirms my decision to go into this company, because even though I cut that, when I looked at the nuts and bolts of this other company, I really believed in this one that much more. I believed in it so much more that I almost went to the other one. Like, you say something, but no, he dipped out and said, die.
I want them to die. What a lame, fucking lame.
Fucking lame.
Marmot-looking rat fucking ferret.
Die.
We don't care.
You really don't care, huh?
I don't care.
You really don't
Again,
care.
he doesn't care.
I don't care.
Oh, and then they just parlay it right into their whole narrative of when they point out that anytime anybody says they don't care, they care a lot.
Oh,
and they have a whole
bothered.
fucking sound clip for it.
Oh, I loved it because Opie and Anthony would never let that slide. They know you care and they never let it go. They were like the jaws of life on your career and everything you said. If you say you don't care and they know you care, you're never getting away with it on that show.
Well, their whole point was anytime you say I don't care, you care a lot. So again, if you're not even gonna like respond to what they're saying, then they get to control the entire narrative, and that's exactly what they're doing right now.
Like, even if he gaslit, lied about why he went to Sirius, okay? And he did the best politician answer he could to that caller. Opie and Anthony could respond to it, but it wouldn't get as much traction as that reaction right there of a, I don't care, dip out, die.
Yeah, it's like an admission of defeat.
Oh, totally.
It's where your actions speak a lot more.
100%.
Go over, I don't care.
Boom, boom, boom.
I don't care. He doesn't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. He doesn't care.
Tell him, Fred.
Care. I'm happy, go lucky. Women call me plucky. I don't care. I don't care. I don't. He doesn't care. Stopping.
It just keeps going on and on.
Oh my God, it's not funny anymore. I don't care.
The best part is when he goes zoom, 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 boom, boom, boom. What else happened during break?
All right, that's the end of it.
Well, guys, this is going to be it for us for this part of the saga. I wish we could go longer, but both of our lives demand attention from us. So, unfortunately, this is the end of this part, but don't worry. We're going to come back with more, and we love doing this.
Yeah, and let us know if you guys want us to do an MPD breakdown on Opie. And we're going to keep the supercut going. We got quite a lot left. So you guys like this one.
We have plenty. Look at this. Look at how long this is.
All right. I'll see you guys later.
Bye.
Pasta
I don't say pasta asciutta, I say pasticcio.
Pasta, that's what I say.
He's a phony Italian, Paul.
He's a phony Italian?
Yeah, phony.
Why, you're Napolitano? I'm Napolitano. Sure. You don't understand the Sicilian. Altovilla. No, that's Altovilla. E nessuna me l'ha mangiata. Sì, ma te l'ha mangiata tu. Nessuna me l'ha mangiata, ragazza. Ma tu l'hai mangiata. È stupato di Santa Capodoro. Tu la